Please go subscribe to the Rumble channel for Franchise Sports TV under the name FSTV22. Now, I'm using that Rumble channel for any purposes of me getting kicked off YouTube and also for more of my spicier joints. It's free as well. I have the freedom to say whatever I want to say as well. So go subscribe to FSTV22. That is Franchise Sports TV 22 on Rumble. Alright, okay, we're back again, and now we're in OKC. As we all know, OKC hasn't been always OKC Thunder. It's been the Seattle Supersonics at one point in time. Seattle Supersonics originated in 1967 before 2008 when they was kicked out of Seattle and moved to Oklahoma City in 2008. But they had kept all the stats, all the players, and all that. So here we go. I picked these players, top 5 players of all time for the Oklahoma. Tongue twisted almost. Top 5 players for the Oklahoma City Thunder / Seattle Supersonics. I picked these teams, or picked these players, I should say, due to the accomplishments they have done for that team and how they stand in NBA history. So with no further ado, let's get to it. So before I even get to it, because I always forget to say this, before I get to it, there is some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions like, shoot, damn, may I do the honorable mentions last? Never mind. I can't think right now. Only what's in front of me. So starting at center, I will get to honorable mentions later. But starting at center is Jack Sikma, who played with the Seattle Sonics when he was the Seattle Sonics from 1977 to 1986. He was drafted first round, 8th overall pick out of Illinois Wesleyan. I think that's how you pronounce it. In 1977, primarily played center. Always played center, number 43. He finished his career with the Bucks. I already mentioned. I already made a video about his Bucks years. Finished his career in the end in 1991. So playing from 1977 to 1991. He was a coach for Seattle when Ray Allen was there from 2003 to 2007 before going on to coach the Rockets and the Timberwolves. Stands at 6'11", but he was probably the precursor to some of the centers you see, or some of the big men you see, like a Dirk, like a Jokic. He can back down, face up, and pivot and shoot that mid-range 9-foot shot, like I said before. He was unknown coming out of college, because I think the college he came from was like a Division II at the time. Let's see what they are now. They are a liberal arts school. Illinois Wesleyan is a Division II school. 3 school. So, yeah. There you go. But his entirety with Seattle, he was a big piece of Seattle's championship year in 1979 when they beat the Washington Bullets? Yes, it was the Washington Bullets. Was they known as the Washington Bullets back then? Yes, they was known as the Washington Bullets. Back in 1979. But this was actually not the first time these two teams met in 1979. In the previous finals in 1978, these two teams met in the finals, but the Bullets won in 7 games. Coached by, who was the coach back then? Was it the coach, Dick Motta? I think it was Dick Motta back then. I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. That Seattle, that Bullets team had Bob Dandridge, Elvin Hayes, and Wes Unseld on that team. Not to say that Seattle had, at the time, Jack Sikma, Fred Brown, Paul Silas, John Johnson, Dennis Johnson, and Gus Williams as well. And that team, this Seattle team, ended up beating the Nuggets 4-2. When they actually won it all, when he actually won it all. They beat the Washington Bullets in 5 games. Dennis Johnson was actually the Finals MVP, but they ended up beating the Supersonics 4-3. No, I said that wrong. Beating the Phoenix Suns 4-3. Coached by Lenny Wilkens as well. Who was on that team when they actually won? Seattle was the number 1 seed. It's 52-30. Not the best. It was not the best team record-wise. They had to go through. I forgot who they had to go through. They went to the Lakers. No, pardon me. They had earned a first-round bye, because back then you can earn a first-round bye if you're the number 1 seed. In the conference semifinals, the gentlemen swept the Lakers and then went 7 games with the Suns. But anyways, who was on that team? On that championship team? Pretty much almost the same players that was on the previous team that lost. But anyways, we talk about Jack Sikma. But Jack Sikma, during this whole time with the Seattle Sonics, average, go back please, sorry, computer's acting on the fritz again. It always does that. For most of this time on Seattle, he was a anywhere from around let's say an average of 18-point scorer, averaging a double-double in rebounds. He did have a few assists, 3.4 assists, 1.2 steals, and 1.3. His best statistic year with Seattle actually came in 81-82 season, where he averaged 19 points a game, 1.3 blocks, 1.2 steals, 3.4 assists, 12.7 rebounds. And actually averaged 37 minutes as well. That was probably one of his best statistical years. He had a career high in blocks and steals and rebounds that year, and points. But the reason why he left Seattle, I think he realized Seattle was not actually, and he played only to 82 games that season too. But anyways, he left Seattle because he thought Seattle was in the middle of a rebuild, which I think they was. So he requested a trade, and they ended up trading him to Milwaukee. So that is Jack Sikma right there. He is a Hall of Famer. Let's not get that twisted. Even when they won the championship, he only averaged 14. His best year in the playoffs was actually his last year with Seattle in the playoffs, averaging 22, and they got lost in 5 games. See here, he was a very good shooter for a big man as well. They even called it his move, his pivot move, the signature Sigma move. That's what they called it. But anyways, moving on. I don't want to spend too much time on him, so we got more to go. Now at the power forward position, I had to put this up for a poll, and most of you guys, I'm surprised, picked Sean Kemp, and I didn't. Most of these people I didn't really see play too much, but Sean Kemp I did see play a lot, more than Spencer Haywood. Sean Kemp with Seattle. He was drafted in '89, first round 17th overall pick by Seattle in that year. He only played from Seattle 1989 to 1977. Going back, 1997 was very crucial in the Sonics' run to the finals against the Bulls in that 95-96 season. He's a 6-time All-Star. Actually, he's a 5-time All-Star with Seattle. Then he had 1 All-Star with Cleveland after he left Seattle. He was drafted. Forgot. He was one of the earlier players that was drafted out of high school as well. Can't forget that. He originally had a letter of intent to play at the University of Kentucky, but he failed his SAT scores. He had to get around 700. I think that was what the cutoff is. And he couldn't get in there. He ended up deciding to enroll in Kentucky anyway, but that's a long story. I'm not going to get into that. We're talking about his NBA career. With Seattle, like I said, with Gary Payton, Ricky Pierce in the beginning, Nate McMillan, even Xavier McDaniel. This team, the Seattle Sonics during the 90s, was a very talented team, a very defensive team, but they just couldn't get past the hump. When they got to the finals, when they played the Bulls, I think one year they lost to, I forgot who they lost to. I'm not going to go through all the years they lost, who they lost to. I think one year they lost to Houston. I think that was his last year they ended up losing to Houston. A Houston-led team with Hakeem, Clyde, and Chuck as well. A 7-game series in the second round of 96-97 season. He would end up being traded to the Cleveland for Vin Baker, Terrell Brandon, and Tyrone Hill would follow him to Cleveland Cavaliers. But most of his career in Seattle, he was probably, let's say, an average of 18 points a game. He averaged a double-double for most of his time in Seattle. He didn't average a lot of assists. He did, his best year blocking-wise, average-wise, was a 93-94 season at 2.1. Averaging 2.6 in assists and 1.8 in steals and 10 rebounds a game as well. The season that they went to the finals, he actually averaged 19 points, but 19 and 11. Actually, that season was his best rebounding year, average at 11.4. Now, his best year scoring actually came in that 88-99 season when he was on Cleveland, but he only played in 42 games. In the playoffs, 20 points, 10 rebounds during a run to the finals. That's pretty much it. Was Shawn Kemp. He was a 3-time second team All with Seattle. McDonald's All-American is pretty much the All-Stars, and the second team is only pretty much he accomplished award-wise. He only scored 15,000 points, 8,000 rebounds, and 1,000 blocks. Averages of 14.6, 8.4 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks. So that is Shawn Kemp. I'm trying to go through these a little bit quicker. I don't want to spend too much time harvesting on. I don't want to make this too long of a video. Most of these videos always average 20 minutes of video. So at the small forward position, we're going to the OKC days, and you guys probably should already know who this is. I'm not even going to get into him too much, but it's one Kevin Durant. As we all know, Kevin Durant was actually a Seattle Sonic before he became OKC as part of that move. Drafted in 2007, first round, second overall pick. That year, I think Greg Oden was picked first, but we know how his career went. Kevin Durant established a name for himself while he was on OKC in Seattle. As we all know, he left in a not so pleasing way to the OKC fan base to go join the super team, or create a super team in Golden State, where he got his 2 rings. He did get his MVP in 2014 as well, and he did get 6 All-Stars. Did he get 6 All-Stars? 6 All-Star game selections with OKC, and 1 MVP All-Star game. We all know he's from 2010 to 2014, he was a 6-time All-NBA first team. Those are all with OKC. Once a second team with OKC. The other 3 were with either Golden State or Brooklyn. Rookie of the year as well. Rookie first team. The reason why he wasn't in first teams from 2014 to at least 2018, I think one of these years it might have been the injury year. I'm not for sure. I think it might have been when he messed up his foot. But let's keep moving on. Rookie Challenge MVP as well. 4-time NBA scoring champ, all with OKC. He had 50, 40, 90 club once with OKC in 2013. The other time just past season. And he is also a 75th anniversary team member, and won't be the only one on this list to be on that team. So you probably can guess who the other three are on there. He is an Olympian, 2012 and 2016 with OKC. The other one with the Brooklyn. But I'm not going to go through all the stats. You know how great Kevin Durant was when he was in OKC. Moving on, and happy early birthday to him, even though 2 weeks early. He would be turning 35 on the 29th of this month. All right, yeah. But anyways, moving on. We're not going to spend too much time with him. We all know how great Kevin Durant is. You just wish he would stop jumping from team to team and stop crying about it when people criticize him. So anyways, the next person, I'm actually putting him at shooting guard, even though he played point guard, but people will probably be weird about that. But you know what? Guess what? This is my list and only my opinion as well. So at the shooting guard position, I will put Gary Payton, even though he played mostly point guard. But I guess you could put the next person I'm about to say. I guess it can be switchable, I guess. But anyways, whatever. I guess you guys already can guess who the next person is on this list. But Gary Payton was drafted in 1990, first round, second overall pick by the Seattle Supersonics. He only played for the Supersonics for 13 years before he was traded mid-season to my Milwaukee Bucks for Ray Allen. He is a 9-time All-Star, all with Seattle. NBA first team, all with Seattle. NBA second team, all with Seattle. 2-time All-NBA third team, all with Seattle. Defensive Player of the Year. He was the last guard before Marcus Smart to be picked for Defensive Player of the Year. 9-time All Defensive First Team. NBA Steals Leader in 96. NBA Rookie Second Team in 91. And also, once again, another member of the 75th Anniversary Team. 21,000 point scorer as well, Hall of Famer. 16 points a game, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists for his whole entire career. And I did say Hall of Famers, right? Hall of Famer. And 2-time Olympic champion. In 96 and 2000 Sydney team as well. All with Seattle. One of the reasons why Gary Payton was actually traded out of Seattle, because he was feuding with I think it was the general manager, or was it the general manager? Let's see, what was he? The general manager of that team? Nope. He was not the general manager. He was the owner of the Seattle Sonics, Howard Schultz. As you all know him, you might know him as chairman and chief executive officer of Starbucks from 86 to 2000, and then from 2008 to 2007. I think he just left as the interim CEO this past year. So Gary Payton was going back and forth with him, and they decided to trade him at the end of that year. I mean, at the middle of that season, 2002-2003 season. That's how he ended up in Milwaukee. We all know that Gary Payton did, I wouldn't say attempted to put the clamps on Jordan, but made it difficult for Jordan. Yes, I can admit that he made it difficult for Jordan, but guess who still prospered and got rings? Jordan. So almost ain't close enough. We all know he's nicknamed the Glove as well because of his defensive skills, and he's a big time trash talker. An inspiration for me when it comes to trash talking. For me at least, for me growing up in the 90s, he made it all right for me to trash talk, because he did it too. It's unfortunate some people don't know how to trash talk back. They want to go straight to the fist all the time and then get embarrassed. But anyways, he did win a ring with the Miami Heat in 2006, and after that he pretty much, did he retire after that season? Yeah, he retired after that season because he went from the Bucks to the Lakers, trying to get a ring on the Lakers. Then he played with the Celtics, and then the Heat. I think he retired after 2007. What's his best year steals watch right quick before I go on to the next person. He had a career high of steals at 2.9 in the season that they went to the finals against Jordan, along with scoring 19 points a game, 4.2 rebounds, and 7 assists. So he was equally great on offense and on defense, a two-way player, a predecessor to what we see now with other players today. I don't want to say Gary Payton because I think was it Jason Williams that said Gary Payton, Jrue Holiday was a better defender than Gary Payton. As much as I love Jrue Holiday being on the Bucks, let's not get it twisted. Let's get it twisted. So, anyways, I don't want to go too long on Gary Payton. I'm already reaching the 20-minute mark already. You know, I promise I said I won't reach the 20-minute mark, but Gary Payton played for a long time. His best year points-wise actually was 24.2 in the 99-2000 season. It was actually his best year with rebounds as well. Actually, his later years scoring-wise came in his later years, just to say. I said that backwards. But anyways, he does share a record of selections of the defensive team along with Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. Highest vote getter in 1999 and 2000. Second highest in 98 and 2002. So you can't forget that. Ranked 39 on Slam's top 100 players of all time in 2008. Ranked top 10 NBA point guards of all time by ESPN. So yeah, he was great. In college as well, Oregon State. All right, well, let's move on to the last person because I didn't realize this video was getting that long. I like to talk, as you guys can see in here. At the point guard position, which probably can be switched anyway, it's Russell Westbrook III. Now, Dreamers Pro asked in a video or a poll who is the most scrutinized player currently, and I have to say Westbrook is up there based on the last 2 years. But anyways, that's a different video for a different day. He was selected in 2008, first round, 4th overall pick by the Seattle Sonics. I think that was their last thing they did right before they changed the name. Because his rookie season was the 08 season. He played from OKC from 08 to 2019. Drafted out of UCLA. He did get MVP with them. 9-time All-Star. I think he's an 8-time All-Star with OKC. I think the other one came with Houston. Because I don't think he's been an All-Star since, actually. 2-time NBA first team, all with OKC. 5-time NBA second team, all with OKC. Third team, all with OKC. Well, not all. One was actually with Houston. 2-time scoring champion, 2015 to 17. 3-time NBA assist leader, 2018 and 19. The other time wasn't when he was in Washington. Also another member of the 75th anniversary team. Olympic gold medalist in 2012. World Cup champion in 2010. We all know what Westbrook could do. And we know the records that he has broken, which some people just seem to forget. They forget that he was the assist leader and scoring champion. They forget that. He did break a record. Before we talk off, let's talk about the record he broke, because some people seem to forget about the record he broke. Sue. 7-time Western Conference Player of the Month. 15 Western Conference Player of the Week. 2-time Western Conference Rookie of the Month. 2-time All-Star Game MVP. 15 and 16. Let me say the most important accomplishment that he has done, because he has a lot, but people just seem to forget about that. First place all time for 50-point triple doubles in a single season with 3. 1 or 2 NBA players in NBA history recorded at least 40 triple doubles in a season. including Oscar Robertson. One or two players in NBA history averaged 31 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists in a calendar month, along with Oscar Robertson. One or two players in NBA history recorded at least 30 points, 17 assists, 11 rebounds, and 4 steals in a game, including Magic Johnson. One or two players in NBA history recorded at least 120 points, 40 rebounds, and 30 assists over 3 consecutive games. Wilt Chamberlain. One or two players in NBA history averaged 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists over a 10-game span. The other one, Michael Jordan. One or three players in NBA history record 40, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists in consecutive games. Michael Jordan and Pete Maravich. One of four players in NBA history record 51 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists in a game. That includes Wilt Chamberlain, who did it twice, James Harden, Elgin Baylor. One of four players in NBA history record 5 triple-doubles in 6 games. Wilt, Oscar, and Michael Jordan. Let me take off one playoff record. One or two players in NBA history record 3 straight 30-point triple-doubles. Wilt Chamberlain. Highest scoring triple-double in NBA history, 51 points. 4/20/17 versus the Houston Rockets. He has one with OKC. With Kevin Durant. I'm going to just say one. Only one pair of teammates in NBA history recorded at least 40 points in the same game multiple times. Him and Kevin Durant did this 4 times. I will not go on because he has too many stats to even list that are even part of OKC. You had to make a separate video just to talk about that. That is one Russell Westbrook, the same person that the media has continuously slandered for the last 2 years, but they act like he's a bum now. But anyways, notable Seattle or OKC that I didn't say: Spencer Haywood, Nick McMillan, Xavier Daniel, Dale Ellis is one. Dennis Johnson. Trying to think of others. Randomly come to my head. Jeff Green, Serge Ibaka, Reggie Jackson, who's now just got his own ring. I guess you could say Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, James Harden, Chris Paul at one point in time. The list goes on. And it keeps going on. I'm not going to list all of those right there. That's a lot of people. Rashard Lewis. Just thought about him. Carmelo Anthony. I just saw his name pop up on here. Forgot that even happened. But anyways, the best player to ever play for OKC. I guess one probably could say Kevin Durant. One probably could say Westbrook if they wanted to. And one probably could say Gary Payton. It's up for interpretation. But anyways, I have talked enough. Tell me what you guys think. I think this is the longest video I did now.